Coming up next on Burk's In-House, episode number 3, Fake It Till You Make It in the Music Industry, Rock is Dead, part 2, next.
Life keeps rolling on and on.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Troy Burk. I'm your host. This is episode number 3 of Burk's In-House. Now, this week, I want to talk to you and cover the old cliche, fake it until you make it in the music industry. This is part 2 to the Rock is Dead, It's a Lie episode. To start things off, I do want to bring the Rock is Dead effect into the mix right off the gate. What I like to do on some of these episodes now, even though this is part 3, I did it on part 1, is I want to do a review on rock music. My review today is for the band Ghost. This is their recent album, and I'm liking these guys to, if you took like Lady Gaga and Pete Steele, a typo negative, and they had a child, and Alice Cooper was the godfather of that child, and they put a band together, okay? So it's got the new age elements of pop, but it's got the dark goth, hard rock, metal, and the guy's kind of got Alice Cooper's voice. And rock is not dead. It's still healthy. I do believe it's only about 10% of the music industry as far as health-wise and what we would used to call mainstream as far as Billboard charts, numbers, that sort of deal. Very kick-ass band. I've enjoyed every song. As a matter of fact, the CD's still in my CD player. They even they keep it old school by their graphic design. Just awesome artwork. I mean, they did a hell of a job. Lyric fold and everything. Great band. Rock is not dead. It seems like there's always been a fine line of perception is reality and faking it until you making it meaning the same thing. This is so very not true. There's a thin line. I came up in the 80s and 90s. Was born in the 70s, came up in the 80s and 90s. Been playing music and guitar since I was 7. I'm 41 now. So I grew up with what they call the old school structure, Back when a lot of musicians would say there was structure back then. There was money to be made back then. Well, there used to be a saying in the business, and that was, perception is reality. Perception is spending the money, the time in the studio, the time in the rehearsal studio, the time to make a correct music video, spending the time and the money to make your look and sound professional. You give it to your audience, they automatically think, you don't say it, but they automatically think you're somewhat famous, or people even confuse that with being rich. With the start of the internet, and once bands and artists and even actors, once entertainment caught on to the internet, a lot of those new up-and-comers had always heard the term fake it until you make it. I mean, I learned that term from a high school coach. I didn't even learn that in the music industry. But a lot of people take the perception and think that fake it until you make it means the same thing. And people will actually, set up fake email accounts, set up fake websites, set up fake record labels, set up fake bios, lie about who they worked with and what kind of work they've done. And mind you, they might have an expensive, great-looking video to convince you people, or a great sounding song because they spent the money in the studio, as they should, to make that song look and sound great. They're lying about everything else. Back in November, and I never try to name names, okay? Enough of you guys, enough bloggers, conspiracy artists, and gurus, and media outlets have already tore this this guy a new ass. But back in November, there was a young rock artist that actually was really good, put out a great record. Him and his wife decided to get together. She posed as a manager, and she posed as his A&R rep from his label. Decided to hire a band to book a European tour. Well, the band took the bait. He has all these fake accounts on social media. He bought bots, making it look like he had a big following. He opened up 3 or 4 different websites. One was a fake booking agency. The other one was a fake label, as I stated. The other was a fake promotion and booking company, or a management company. And they even went as far as to draw contracts up, the whole 9. You know, the wife gets on the phone with club owners and venues over in Europe, and they book a month tour, and the venues bought it. Now, mind you, this guy paid for everything. Well, they get over to Europe, and where the guy went wrong was all his lies started coming up to the surface. You know, he was going to pay his band members to get over there and play, which he gave them each $300. These guys are probably thinking, this is my first tour with a national artist. It looks like he's hot. You know, he came up with fake magazine articles, fake press, fake bio, everything I stated. Well, they get over there, and then they realize some of their luggage they got to check in. They got to pay for it out of their own pocket. So their travel wasn't free. Their food, hotel expenses wasn't free. And then these shows were ticket shows. They had to sell X amount of tickets. Even though the wife and the artist paid the venue rental, the venue and the artist was both cutting a percentage a piece of the ticket sales. They were lying about selling 150 tickets here and there. They get about to their 3rd show. The band members start questioning them, and then one of the venues says, please do not come back. I don't appreciate you lying to us about ticket numbers. Band members came home and started putting this gentleman on blast, this gentleman and his wife, and the venues. I think it was a Facebook post, put this guy on blast. It took this kid, and like I said, he was really, really talented, multi-instruments, hell of a singer, hell of a songwriter. It took this artist a year to ruin his entire career. Folks, you cannot fake it until you make it. And perception and faking it until you make it are not the same things. There are a lot of buy-in options. Well, here's the real truth about that and the real secret. There has always been a way to buy into the music industry. It's just on blast now. You know, you can actually set up a media company, or you can buy into a record label and use their marketing and promotion team, and you put the money up front. In fact, like I said, I won't name names, but there's 2 internationally multi-millions of dollars worth of famous country artists right now who both bought their major record deals, that are active, touring, putting out singles, and making the Billboard charts. I do believe both of them have won Grammys. They bought their record deals. That's not unheard of. It's just you don't commonly hear about it. It takes money to make money. A lot of these people figure, well, if I buy into this, then I can start lying and bullshitting my way through the business. The quickest way to ruin your reputation in the music industry is to lie. Once you get blackballed in the industry, it's very hard to get a job. You'd be lucky to get back to work at somewhere like McDonald's. And I'm not cutting McDonald's workers down. So really pay attention to what you're doing. First off, buy into a lawyer. There's so much we can do. Obviously, you guys know this. but I'm going to repeat it. I can't stress it enough. There's so much we can do as independent now to where, I just opened up my own label back in June. It's a legitimate label. I don't have a lot of money behind it, but I put a lot of money into it to make it legit. You can be your own label now, but do not lie about your following, because once you get to those venues, folks, and the venues see that you're not selling the tickets you said you did, that's all it takes, and then you're put on blast on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Don't be one of those artists. There's so much we can do now on our own if you got the money. The last video, and by the way, this kid was in the rock scene, and he was a psych major. He had a lot of people fooled, so now he has a lot of people pissed off. His card's been pulled. If you're gonna put the perception out there that you are somebody, and as you should, make yourself look as good and sound as good as you can, but be honest about it. If you only have 100 followers, all you have to say is, hey, I'm working on building up my following. I don't have a great big social media following, but all of my followers are real followers. And, I have a manager and everything. I can book shows, I can do this, I can do that. I've rubbed elbows with some higher-ups in the business over the years, and back in the day where you could go out and, meet people. And that's something you should still be doing, is work on your networking game. Work on getting to know people, especially your fans. Talk to them, interact with them. And another thing, buying a Facebook ad or a social media ad, there's a fine line between that and buying fake bots and fake followers. And some of this even makes it to the mainstream news now, but you get put on blast on all your major outlets, all over the internet, and like I said, then you need a rock to hide under. So perception is not the same thing as fake it till you make it. Get to know people, network. If you got a great personality and you have the talent and you have the look, and you've worked a day job, even if it's part-time, and you got a little bit of money to back it up, that's all you need, man. And keep doing your research. There's always some, with technology, it keeps advancing. So keep advancing your mind. Keep advancing your music. Keep advancing your art. There's no reason to lie in this day and age. I mean, you really don't want to run your career just because you wanted to go on tour. And I got questioned about a month ago on one of my bios. Back when I signed to a record label back in 2012, I had a pretty decent publicist, and my bios that I wrote were always too wrong, and some of my punctuation was wrong and things like that. Basically, it was a fill in blanks. Answer these questions: who have you worked with? Who have you worked for? What kind of experience do you have, as well as, what's your style of music? What's your niche? We call it a niche now. Back then it was, hey, what's your style of music? And then they would send that bio and everything out to the newspapers and the magazines and radio stations, part of your physical press kit. Anyways, somebody that I record music with and I look up to as a mentor, again, will not mention names, had seen where after so long I will delete like old videos or old pictures, anything that I feel is kind of subpar. My mentor says, hey, you're better than this now, get rid of that, get that off. My old bio, the people that I had worked with, got the option and opportunity to work with over the years, whether I was a roadie for their band or I opened up for this national artist, or I did some interactive recording, file sharing on the internet with somebody famous, which are all things I've done, by the way. The way the publicist had put it together in the bio, he said it makes it sound like you were saying you used to be in all those bands. So he even pre-pulled my card, and I said, well, bro, that should not, that was my publicist that wrote it up that way, because we had to shorten it down. They wanted a paragraph or less back then. Well, the way that and then I'd follow suit, because, there was a point where I fired my record label, because, I figured out I could do this on my own and eventually be my own label, which is what I am today. Anyway, I just followed suit for a couple years after I fired my label, knowing that all those, in my mind, in my heart, all those things were true. After he brought that to the light, I looked at it and I totally agreed with him. I'm like, yeah, that just looks fake as hell, and it's not, But how it was worded matters. So be honest, folks, and make sure that your bio, if you did some work for that kind of person, give people a brief summary of actually what that was. You can be a hype person, but or you could be a perception person, but do not cross those borders into the faking it till you making it, or bullshit somebody. You start talking to the higher ups, number one, they can tell. I mean, you talk about mediums and psychics, listen to me. The higher ups in the music game are just as freaking psychic. They see you coming in the door, man. They see you coming through the door. They know. They know. So don't try to bullshit them. Alright? They spend a whole career around famous people, successful people, and before they were just like you, meeting the right people and rehearsing in a garage or whatever and building their way up. So they've been there where you're at, and they're where you're not at. So don't bullshit anybody. Keep it real. Be honest with yourself. And let that carry over into your music as well. If you're creating honest music that's honest to your heart and soul, you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm proud of myself because that's me. That's a part of me. Your fans should be your extended family in a lot of ways. And I know you need your privacy. That's a different subject and all that as well. You can't bullshit your fans, and you can't bullshit your business partners. On that note, folks, I'm going to get off here. If you find any of this useful, please like, share, comment. I want to hear back from you. I want to know if this helps you at all. I'm probably going to be turning this into a radio show. Got the information yesterday. And what I'll do is it'll still be a vlog talk show. I will still film it and put it on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And I'll be playing music as well. I'm going to have indie artists on there, international artists, national artists, and I will play anything good. If you have an Apple account, a Spotify account, you're published, your music's good, I'll let you know, but then send it to me, okay? And once I get the ball rolling, I'll make a commercial and announcement. But I think I'm going to keep the title Burk's In-House. That way it doesn't confuse people. And like I said, it'll still be a vlog as well. But until we meet again, I'm Troy Burk. I love you guys. Happy holidays. Peace.
Life keeps rolling.